This is What is HOA? What is HOA is brought to you by Zayuk. Zayuk is a company that provides a property management suite and a property management inspection for your property. We handle homeowners associations and condo associations, and we're diving into other forms of real estate ownership as well, or property ownership, but our system and our suite is specifically built for and tailored to homeowner associations and condo associations. And in this podcast, in this live stream, we go through current events of homeowners associations and current events within the United States, usually of homeowners associations. And the primary event, so this live stream is titled, What is HOA When Zoning Fails? And the primary topic that we're going to discuss is actually a neighborhood that did not have an HOA in Fairfax, Virginia. And the reason I want to go through this is that HOAs are demonized, and rightly so for some reasons, because when they're run poorly, it can be corrupt, it can be embezzlement can be involved, fraud can be involved. A lot of different aspects of corruption can be involved when you bring real estate, government, business all into one organization and try to manage it. It is not simple, especially when you consider most HOA and condo owners are not, or at least the ones that many are not institutional investors. Many are just people, consumer level individuals who are investing in a property to make sure that they have a secure state of value, or they have a store of wealth, and that store of wealth is directly tied to their place of living, which gives them a sense of security, which gives them a sense of ownership, which gives them a sense of, I own what I sleep on and stand on, and it helps a lot of people feel more secure than having a landlord own the land that they rent. Not to say anything's wrong with that. I think it's fine, and if you're willing to, but many people look at that's what they look at for an HOA. And so when you're not an institutional investor, you can be blindsided because you might not know what to look for in this business of condo association HOA. But one issue that occurred in Fairfax, Virginia was a massive home addition was added to a neighborhood with no HOA, and that home addition was in accordance with zoning laws, and I believe it actually has been stopped because let's go. Give me one moment. Construction on a 3-story house came to a halt this week in a quiet Fairfax neighborhood, leaving a family in limbo and neighbors divided. The projects bring 3 generations under one roof, pitched in under the county rules governing building height, fell short with regard to spacing from a neighbor's property line. So this family wanted a multi-generational home, and they built in a single-family neighborhood, and it was in accordance with zoning, but what stopped the construction was its spacing from the neighbor's property line. Complaints prompted Fairfax County inspectors to halt work on the addition, which has highlighted the thin line between personal dreams and community harmony. 1960s house sports a towering extension that stretches the full length of the lot. It's huge, and most homes there are 2 stories, and they're residential homes, and this looks like a small condo addition. And you're seeing things like this also in San Diego here with ADUs. The addition sits just 8.5 feet from the adjacent line, too close under local zoning rules. While height limits were met, setbacks ensure space for light, air, and neighbor privacy. Enforcement often kicks in after tips like these, not upfront checks alone. Feels like it's not real when you see it. You've seen it, so it's shocking. And so without a homeowner association in this subdivision, there's no local group to review designs or enforce style guidelines. All control falls to county zoning, which focuses on basics like height, setbacks, not curb appeal. And work was halted on November 13th. Not everyone sees it as a problem. Some neighbors rallied behind the family, calling it smart, heartfelt choice. One thing I don't know if these people are considering is the parking. With a multi-generational household like that, you're going to have a new parking limit, and that's going to be constant. And in some countries like Japan, they actually don't allow you to purchase a car without a parking space, and it's a great rule. I don't think it's possible here in the United States due to the site, just the logistics of Japan make that actually possible there. But not to say, once you have 10 more residents or 12 more residents in a home, that could be 4 to 5 cars. I mean, it might be just 2, but it could be 4 to 5 cars. And this is a single family, single street, and it would impact not only the aesthetic, but the actual functionality of the neighbors around them. Very nice family would be living there. The homeowners' names have not been released, shared little with the media. Lots are tight in Fairfax. Additions like this offer a practical fix, but they can stir tension when scale surprises those nearby. And this is why I think, do want an HOA. So there are, again, things to consider. But if this neighbor, if that wasn't within county, local zoning ordinances play a role in suburban developments. Complaint-driven enforcement means there are no routine inspections or resources to catch every little detail. This wasn't a little detail. It was a 3-story house, 3-story condo, small condo-looking addition to a residential house. It was really extreme, and if you look at the way it was positioned in relativity to the next door neighbor, it makes sense that it was too close, but also it's just a burden on that neighbor. Even imagine if that wasn't sits just 8.5 feet from the adjacent line, too close under local zoning rules. So I'm gonna ask Gemini, what does Fairfax, Virginia allow for spacing? Entirely on the zoning district. Likely setback. Minimum setback is frequently 10 feet. Oh man, that's while you must check the specific zoning designation for the exact rule, here are the common side setback requirements for additions. R1 20 feet, R2 15 feet, R3 4 5 10 feet. So very low density, which are large lots, or this was likely, it's saying R3 4 5 standard subdivision. If a structure's height exceeds a certain threshold, 30 or 35 feet, the required side setback might be substantially larger. And it probably was. And given the large height. Saying 30 or 35 feet, this was 3 stories, so I would guess that's exactly, it was exceeding that. All right, we'll move on to other items. One big issue that occurred was there was an alleged stealing of funds from a condo, Brickell condo. Let me get on that. And this, so we'll read the news and see what happened. Woman accused of stealing more than $140,000 from a Brickell Homeowners Association made an appearance on Thursday, facing multiple charges, including organized scheme to defraud and grand theft. Out on $45,000 bond, some conditions. Manager at clubs at Brickell Bay condominium from 2016 to 2023. Judge stated the alleged ghost employee scheme started in 2020. Ordered to stay away from the club. Forged and manipulated online payroll records, taking more than $140,000 from the community funds. Hired 5 family members and friends to work for the building, but some were already employed by an outside contractor for janitorial work in the building, meaning getting paid twice. Others didn't work in the building at all. Ghost employee. Residents are glad for accountability, but say there's more work to be done. Tried to get proof of fraud from the board and the condo management company. They felt like they weren't getting the whole picture. Pretty much without being able to take the action. $140,000 is a lot of money. I'm not sure how many units are in that. One thing I constantly see is my oh no. Great. So that went fuzzy, the vision, the camera, but it's back. One thing that you see is that often you get a paper document from your manager or your board, likely your manager, and that can be forged. That can not be accurate to what your balances actually hold. And having any technology that gives you direct access to your balance accounts for vision, at least, so that you can observe it, is important. Zayuk provides that across all accounts for multiple financial institutions. You don't need to hold any capital with us. We provide you an outlet to view your direct accounts for across residents, board members, and get these financial documents recurring in a more automated fashion so that you can be sure that there is a trustless system in your investments, because you are investing in this thing every month. You could be putting your money elsewhere, but you're not. You're investing in an HOA. You want to make sure that business is running appropriately. And having this tool, not to mention it's a very well-priced tool, but just the power, and then having our inspection service as well gives you a context to observe your property and to communicate that through a reality capture. We get a survey grade reality capture of your property for your vendors, for yourself, for AI, for multiple different stakeholders within your property to give you that documentation that very few other software companies do it. And so we provide the full stack reserve study inspections, software to hold it in, software to do your daily business in, and to invest and own in, and something that is trustless. Okay, we'll move on. So this was from last month. I actually didn't see this. Police say a handyman took $500,000 in valuables from a Palm Beach condo while the others were away. Priceless heirlooms. Okay, so this was just a theft in a condo. I don't believe this has anything to do with HOAs, other than it was in a condo. So I'm going to move past that. All right. Here is an issue from last week. Rift widens between Jasper Head HOA over multiple and Micaiah Sport town officials. So I believe Micaiah Sport is the town, and this is in Micaiah's news, over something called Pettigrew Point Road in the town's Buck Harbor district. Beef voiced by HOA residents meeting concerned late night brush clearing to expand a parking lot used by the town's commercial fishermen accessing a beach near the town pier. And that is a constant. And this is in Washington County. I've never heard of Machias. Let me find where this is. This is in Maine. This is Machias, Maine, Washington County, Maine. Right on the coast. Very close to Canada. Probably about 50, less than 50 miles from Canada. And this is a dispute over a common asset, and I'm not sure, but let me just see. Machias, HOA, Jasper. So this looks like a long-standing dispute, as there's actually an article about it from February. Fisherman, Jasper Head HOA, Select Board spar over Pettigrew Point Road turnaround. Fiery discussion on January 27th in the town. So Jasper Head Homeowners Association and the town Select Board about a proposed truck turnaround on Pettigrew Point Road. Got it. And we've seen disputes like this between local municipalities and HOAs across multiple different implementations by the local municipality. And probably the most famous one that is getting a lot of headlines are data centers. You see data centers being challenged by local homeowners associations for environmental impacts. We've spoken about a pond. I forgot where that pond is. Let me just. Stillwater HOA sues Google. This was 3 months ago, citing pond pollution and wildlife loss. So this is what's going on in Machias between Jasper HOA and the local town is related to a turnaround for trucks, I believe, and the HOA is challenging that. That makes sense, and that is why you have an HOA. And I understand. I personally think they're good. I mean, I live and own one, but I think they're good, and they have their falls, and that's why it's good to be involved. And as someone who's been in many organizations throughout my life, including a fraternity where this is very similar. It's an association of people who pay dues, and it's for a purpose, greater purpose. That is to be a member of your community and have a say in your community and have a voice within a strong, united organization. And the same here, whether it's that item we spoke about at the beginning related to the Fairfax County neighborhood, that luckily the zoning ordinance was able to defend the right. But if there is a difference in, well, there's a multiple things. It's stated 10 feet minimum, and there might be additions if it's of a certain height, which that was 3 stories. So it was minimum of 35 feet. But continuing that, it gives you defense against certain things. And there are certain things that you do. You need to be involved and make sure. And again, we speak about this when you purchase into a home. It's good to most new builds are now in HOAs, whether they're single families. I've heard that for developers, it's easier to build a development with an HOA than without for multiple reasons. That might be because of amenities, or I'm going to do a specific podcast on. I'm not going to ask right now, Gemini. So a lot of new builds are with HOAs. It's more they're more common than within new builds. They have a higher, I'm not sure the word I'm trying to use, but there's a higher percentage of new builds with HOAs than there used to be. And it's increasing. And it's because they're a decent organization set. The biggest issue is communication and protocols. And when things are broken, the biggest issue is that most properties do not give themselves to centralized finance protocols like Zayuk provides you, where it's a trustless system, where you don't have to trust your board or your manager, and you have a platform to give your property, which has construction projects to do on it, which cost money, which is what you are expecting your items to be paid for. It's not just amenities, although when you do have amenities, that adds to it. It is also the maintenance of your property. And many people think, why do I want to deal with that? But that's a sunk cost that you have to deal with, and you have to make sure that your property is running effectively and efficiently. And that requires being involved, making sure your board is doing the right things, making sure you have good vendors. Zayuk provides you protocols to understand and manage your vendors more effectively, including having a platform where you don't need to trust people. Or one thing is you have a domain for your own information, which is probably the most important thing. All right. Okay, so this was from last month. El Paso homeowners blindsided by unexpected HOA fees. oh, this individual purchased in 2023 and only became aware of the HOA's existence when they received bills in 2025, a bill for over $2,000. Documents provided by the homeowners either explicitly state or fail to mention an HOA. The closing contract does not mention an HOA. And it looks like the management company decided to reduce assessments and waive late fees and delinquency charges. Communication, that's a difficult situation. That's on the fault. I mean, there should be a process by the HOA whenever a sale is done on the home. And that is obviously not in place. We'll move on. So this is an article, county level veteran support matters from HOAs to honor Flag Fridays. Neighborhoods across the country, HOAs and community groups are adopting initiatives like Honor Flag Fridays, neighborhood buddy programs, community grants. It gives community ownership, speed, and empathy, and it gives veterans outlets to not face challenges alone. And here in San Diego, we have many veterans. It is a huge military city, so these are things, and you likely have a veteran in your neighborhood. So putting on events is very good for community morale. Okay, we will move on. This is from Mercury News, Bay Area. Almaden Homeowners Association has sued San Jose in the latest escalation of its long-standing gate dispute. Lawsuit seeks at least $160 million in punitive damages for the alleged violations of constitutional, civil, and property rights. 2 decades, frustrations between residents of Country View Custom Estates and the city have festered. Restrictive Access Enclave has long sought to install gates around their community, pointing to brazen criminals who have tormented the neighborhood with waves of home invasions, burglaries, robberies, car break-ins, hate crimes, mail and package thefts, and trespassing on their private streets. They've been denied 3 times by San Jose Planning Department, most recently last year. Now the neighborhood is fighting back with a $160 million lawsuit against the city, accusing planning officials of violating Country View residents' constitutional, civil, and property rights and exhibiting bias against them through the public access dispute. Oh, wow. And this is I'm actually going to just quickly share. It's a very nice area. You can tell already. It's like on the outskirts of San Jose, just next to the hills. South San Jose. blamed the city for the area's crime issues, believing gates could have blunted some of the harm. The president said he has come face to face with thugs in his home. And that's something like that is how a president usually becomes a president. It's usually, I mean, not often. Some people are really interested, but many times it'll be something occurs and then someone is triggered by something that goes on in their neighborhood. And then they're just like, I'm joining the board. And then it just, boom, happens. Other residents report burglars routinely casing their multi-million-dollar homes or following them home. Not apprehended, observed on surveillance cameras, stopping at houses with rented U-Haul truck and stealing packages from the porches. Showed that Country View Custom Estates burglary rates both per capita and per household were 10 times that of the city as of 2022, before filing the most recent gate application. Homeowners also have seen insurance premiums skyrocket, with some reporting increases of 500 to 1,000%, even without filing a claim. Wow. That's a serious issue. Quote, for a while there, we were getting hit every week to 2 weeks, and it was insane, unquote. People moving out, buying guns, panicking, crying, traumatized. Child came within 8 minutes of being face to face with criminals stealing the stuff underneath Christmas tree. Country View Custom Estates was formed in 1987, includes 75 homes on 71 acres between Almaden Country Club and Quicksilver Park in District 10. Steep hills, blind corners, lack of sidewalks. Bought their properties with the understanding that they would be liable for their private streets, but at the same time, residents expected those private streets to be for their exclusive use. 2006 first application to install gates was rebuffed because it did not conform to the general plan. Almaden resident, then District 10 council member, supported the gate project, noting liability issues and how the private street had become a beacon for illegal hunting, firearm discharges, and dumping. Wow. Wow, that's awful. Sought to install 3 gates at the north terminus of the private portion of the Glenview Drive, the intersection of the Glenview Drive and Hollow Lake Way, and the intersection of Hollow Lake Way and Quail Crest Way. Filed a 32-page complaint. Wow. That's not good. That's not good. Well, that's not good for the city or for the HOA, because that litigation can't be cheap. But $160 million is a lot of money, and I'd be interested to know if the insurance premiums would lower in the case of. Well, I'd be interested to know if those were referencing homeowner, single homeowner for burglary insurance, or if it was related to the homeowner association. And there's multiple forms of insurance for different issues. All right. Thank you, everyone. Happy Monday. Hopefully you all had a good weekend and are able to have a good weekend ahead of you as well. And if you're in SoCal like me, luckily, I think the strongest part of that atmospheric river is behind us. But yeah, thank you. Have a great day.